Hello, great brethren. Today, we're going to talk about something that kind of had on the back burner for a little bit, but here we go. So, this is from the Scottish nation, and it talks about different things: Scottish history, surnames, ancestry, kings, queens, knights, all that. This is a really detailed book, and we're getting into it. So, right off the bat, let's go to the first link. Yep, we're there. So, let's go down. When Donald, Lord of the Isles, in prosecution of his claim of earldom of Ross, burst into Sutherland, he was attacked by Dingwall by Angus Dub, or Black Angus Mackay. The latter, however, was defeated and taken prisoner, and his brother, wow, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, Rorigald, and many of the men were slain. After a short confinement, Agnes was released by the Lord of the Isles, whose decisions of cultivating an alliance with the powerful chief gave him his daughter, and they often did that to settle issues. Elizabeth and many royal families throughout history have done that. Elizabeth in marriage and with their bestowed upon him many lands by charter in 1415, and it was called Emis in Imprezi, or Agnes the Absolute. From his great power at the time, we are told Agnes Dub could bring into the field 4,000 fighting men. Interesting. So we're going to this page, which talks about the Scottish Civil Wars, and this deals with Angus Mackay, and we're going to get right into Angus Mackay in a second. All right, so here's the second one. So going back to Angus Mackay while that loads, he was the so-called black man, and he fought against Donald of Islay, Lord of the Scottish Isles, when they gathered the strength of the Western Isles and invaded Ross of Aberdeen. The Battle of Dingus took place in 1411, during which Angus Mackay was defeated by an army of 10,000 men against 4,000 Highlanders. Okay, Highlanders are so-called, and throughout history, you have many Scottish Highlanders that were so-called black men. Just saying. So we're on the, what's this, the third, let's see, where is that link at? So there we go. So the genealogy claim for them asserts that Douglas, baronage, page 375, that the ancestors of the chief and clan, and they gave the clan name the Lord of Leod, the eldest king of Olave, the black brother of Mangus. Okay, now we discussed the Douglases. Okay, I think we've discussed that from time and time memoriam. So yes, let's get into it. So you had the Douglases. Who are the Douglases? Well, you had the black Douglases, of course, and we have right here Olaf the Black. Okay, so oftentimes they would use black to assert whether the person had black hair, or sometimes just that they were black themselves. Okay, sometimes you have black friars, which they weren't always black, they were all ethnicities, but this is Olaf the Black. Okay, of course you have no image of him, but he was a king of Isles. And so let's go down here. Olaf was a member of the Crovan dynasty and the son of, I'm not going to pronounce that, the king of Dublin and the Isles. Olaf's mother was, again, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, Nick Lockham. Several of their children, and we have right here Africa, Ragavald, and Ivor. Other possible children include Rundir and the daughter whose name is unknown according to the 13th century Chronicle of Man, Olaf's mother was, again, I'm not going to pronounce that, granddaughter of Mac Lock. And remember, we told you about Mac. And, they were often, when they lost, they would send their families down to the northern Africa. And we'll get into that in a second. Okay, go to the next link, and that's the Douglas clan of Ireland. Of Scotland. Pardon me, it's been a while. So, there's Frederick Douglass right there. You guys have noticed? And those are parts of his clan. And you have other Douglases, which they are not going to put up there on that page, that are part of his clan. So it discusses a little bit of the Douglases. So let's go a little bit into it. So for George Dameril, Lord of the Dalamy, and of course you had this great castle, and that's been converted to I guess like a hotel or resort. This is what they always do. And later we'll get on to this book, and you'll show that they'll actually destroy certain aspects of the castles, to destroy them from history, and they'll just be written into very obscure books that there was a castle here, etc., etc., etc. So this is funny because it talks about how this place is actually hunted by the daughter of the 8th Earl of Morton. So Lady Mary Douglas, who portrait hangs in the hotel. And how many dollars would you like to bet that if you go a little bit further into the history, you have black photos and portraits of Douglases hanging all throughout Scotland? So it's restored in 1990, and it's a luxury hotel. Okay, there you go. And golf and country club. So it's haunted. You want to go check out that room, you can go check that room out, brothers. All right, if you believe in that. So and remember, when we talked about Mac, you had a lot of so-called black people or persons throughout Scotland and Ireland with Mac, M-A-C, on the end of their surname, beginning of the surname. All right, so let's go to, which link are we going to now? So here we go. And this discusses, and this is really long because this talks about the Dalamy estate, as we just discussed right there. Okay, so this is the great estate. It's 3 stories, which was converted over to a luxury resort. So let's discuss who Dalamy was, and this deals with trying to think, who does this deal with? Interesting, because this deals with Middleton. Okay, and Middleton was not just a bridge, okay, which it was named after an important character in history, but we'll go to the top right here, and it talks about the Dalamy estate, and it was called Middleton's Bridge after him. Afterwards, as a kind of exile, he received the appointment to the governor of Tangier. You guys know where Tangier is at? A seaport town of the Fez in Africa, which made part of the dowry of the Princess Catherine of Portugal, whom Charles II married soon after Restoration. Okay, so let's get a little bit down into who this Middleton person was and his family and ancestry. Okay, so before the revolution, we are told he firmly stood in a gap to stop the torrent of some of the priests who were driving King James to his ruin, and had so mean the opinion of converse that he used to say the new light never came into the house but a crack in the tithing. Yet this man, who had withstood all the temptations of James' reign and all the endeavors of the prince to bring him over to the surprise of all that knew him, declared him as the Roman Catholic on the king's death, and obtained the entire management of the exiled court of Saint Germain's. Mackey's memoirs. He described as having been a black man of middle stature with a sanguine, remember we discussed sanguine, I think offline. You have ruddy, sanguine, Of course, they were used interchangeably because they try to use sanguine as red, same with ruddy, but they're stating right here that he was a so-called black man, and he had 2 sons and 3 daughters. Okay, Lady Elizabeth, the oldest daughter, and the wife of Edward Drummond, son of James Earl. Hey, there you go, Drummond. So when you see individuals with the name of Drummond, and you got Drummond from the NBA, shouts out to former Pistons. I don't know where he's at. I think he was on the Cavs. I think he got traded. Okay. Son of James Earl of Perth, High Chancellor of Scotland. See, there you go. She was styled Duchess of Perth and died at Paris after 1773. The sons, Lord Claremont, okay, Honorable Charles Middleton, were taken at sea by Admiral Byng, coming with French troops to invade Scotland in 1708 and committed the Tower of London. They were soon released when they returned to France. So that is a little bit of Middleton and his family, Charles Middleton. So he was a so-called black man. Okay. All right. So you guys got that? All right. So we're moving on to the next link. Okay, middle stature. Yeah, that's interesting. Now we're going over to how you guys get different terms and concepts, and you have different slangs and different things that are introduced to your lexicon that you don't really understand, but it has a deeper meaning oftentimes. Some of you brothers don't grasp it because it goes over your head. Okay, and sometimes if you understand European humor, specifically British, they like to poke fun at different aspects of your history that they try to hide. But those that know. So here we go. So we're talking about in this chapter Moray, Earl of Moray. All right, so we're going to go into some of the coat of arms in a second. All right, but let's go down right here. On his death, his sister, Lady Agnes, Countess of Dunbar, okay, and March, commonly called that because for her dark complexion, Black Agnes. You ever heard of someone saying, you know, black as Agnes or black as Agnes? Well, there you go. She was actually the Countess of Dunbar of March, okay? And she was successful in defending the castle of Dunbar, as many of your so-called black men throughout European history during the Black Plague, which was Europeans, mostly non-blacks, carrying virulent viruses from Eastern Europe all the way over, killing much of your nobility in Europe. So, show me the bubonic plagues and all the rats and rat bones, which you cannot do. Okay, it just magically disappear for some reason. So she was successful in defending Dunbar Castle in 1337 to 38 against the Earls of Salisbury and Arundel, successful to the vast estates of earldom and her husband, and her right assumed the additional title of Earl of Moray. The Countess died around 1369. She had 2 sons, George, 10th Earl of Dunbar, and March, and John, who became the Earl of Moray in his mother's right. Okay, now let's see what she's depicted as on Wikipedia and on Google. That's right. As a white lady. I might blow that image up. Yes, that's her. She's depicted as a white lady. But it clearly shows that she was depicted as, in history, as a so-called black woman. And let's go to another picture. There you go. There you go. Now, does that actually resemble what was written in 1850? No, that doesn't resemble what she was mentioned as in 1850. Her dark complexion? Well, who is this? Well, it's not her. I don't know who this is. Okay, another artistic license. There you go, brothers. Okay, let's see what the next link is. All right, okay, we're getting to something good. So we're moving on to the next link. So let's go on to the next one. And this talks a little bit more about Black Agnes, the Countess of Dunbar. And you keep on seeing something that's going to be common. Okay. You're going to see Morris, Morrison, things of that nature. So let's get down to where we're going. So these lands at one period belonged to Randolph, Earl of Moray. And we'll discuss where Moray comes from. Moray or Murray. I'll show you the coat of arms in a second, where you have Moray and Murray and things of that nature. If we can find Murray, we will, but I know Moray is a derivation of Moore. Okay, death of John, 3rd Earl, passed to his sister Black Agnes, Countess of Dunbar. They were given a dowry, so, you know, that's her uncle. Okay, and 3rd Earl. They were given as dowry the daughter Agnes to her marriage, Sir James Douglas of Dalkeith, and continued to be, possession of her successor Morton till they attained, till she passed away. The Lord Morgan died 11th of February, 1650. Wow, okay, this is old. So you have Countess of Dunbar. They were given as dowry with the daughter James Douglas of Dalkeith. You keep on seeing that Douglas, people. Okay, we're going back to Dub first for some reason. So let's get back to that. So let's go on to the next link. All right. So you have them talking about black barons. We don't want to go into that. And remember, we talked about McKay, Donald McKay. So this kind of deals with what we already discussed. It's kind of, pretty much so just going back over what we already discussed earlier in this video. There we go. So we're getting now into the Stuarts. All right. And the House of Murray. All right. So this is interesting. So what they often try to do is bury truth with a series of lies. Okay, but you have to be able to read through the lies. Okay, brothers. So here is some truth that they try to bury in a series of lies. So here is Murray. Okay. So you've seen some individuals named Murray, some of which are basketball players. I don't want to pull the pictures up, but you got a very famous one from Canada right now whose family traces their ancestry back to Jamaica. We discussed this a little bit last year. So this is about the Murrays. So king and consequence, fourth ahead of a large force, punished outlaw, and kinsman Murray of Cockpool, Murray of Tanqueir, who hastened to Ettrick with them, the men, the barony of Tanqueir, before he came to possession of the Stuarts, Earl of Tanqueir. Remember, we talked about the Stuarts, S-T-W-A-R-T-S, S-T-U-A-R-T-S. Oftentimes, they had derivations of the name. The land of Tanqueir were forfeited by Wilmicus Morvier, previous in 1461. They were afterwards by the charter, the crown, dated September 14. Wow, that's a long time ago. James Stuart, the Earl of Buckman of Buchan, son of the Black Knight of Lorne, for whom the descendant of the Earls of Tanqueir, on the approach of the royal force, the outlaw with 4 in his command or his company, came and knelt before the king and said, I give you the keys of the castle, king, so-called Black King. Blessings, my gay lady, thou hast made me sheriffs of this fortress, and my offspring after me. There you go. So who are the Murrays? Okay. Well, these are the Murrays. Okay. And if you notice, you have a white slave in chains. So you have to be very capable of looking through and ascertaining truth and lies. All right. So yes, you have the white slave in chains, chest out, heathen, okay, fully bearded. Of course, in some depictions on some of these coat of arms, they often have a so-called black man on top, but this is the one you see, which is common. I'm not going to go into all the symbology of what, you know, the lion represents, specifically the red lion, but there you go. There's an image of the Murray clan. So what they're telling you right now is that they enslaved a lot of the so-called white peasants within the area. And let's see who James Stewart of, what is it, Buchanland is. Let's see if we go back. Yep, James Stewart, Earl of Buchan, son of the Black Knight of Lorne. This is the first time they've been honest with a picture on Wikipedia or Google. And that's James Stewart right there. Does he look white? No. Now, they will try to always whiten the image up. They will always try. They'll change his skin as light as possible, but that's a so-called black man right there. Yes, I know, it sucks. They want to try to lighten him as much as possible, but they just can't. All right. And here is a picture of some of the Stuart monarchs. All right. Again, the guy looks like the painting. Okay. But yes, they're going to try to lighten him as much as possible. For instance, in 100 years from now, they're going to try to make Michael Jordan look like Brad Pitt or Blake Griffin. Matter of fact, that's what they'll try to do. They're trying to make him look like Blake Griffin. All right. So there you go. So let's go on to maybe one or two more. Okay. So the last thing we're going to go into, Inchbrakie, the story is sad tale straight. The ancient family once were dominant influence in Stratton, and their names appeared in frequent as the centuries. The Graham family or Inchbrakie are, however, still around. There is an excellent website, and it's an interesting source of information. So you had quite a bit of this family, the Graham, that actually went off to Jamaica. So I can go to that website in a second. Okay. So it's a very tragic story, because remember what I told you guys, that when they try to hide history, they'll just burn the whole place down and destroy it. Well, this was one of the many houses or manors that were actually just burned to the ground. Okay. So this is a great article. It talks about the king of the Scotch, Graemes, reputed for having leveled one of Antoine's wall. So there you go. You have quite a bit of history that's just burnt down to the ground. So this is an article on the Inchbrakie house, a beautiful residential estate about 2 miles from Criff. Yeah, it was burnt down years ago. So there you go. So we're going to go into a small article, and this is from it's from a book. I want to say it is from J.A. Rogers, Race Knows No Color Line. Okay, so, and here we go. In Africa, the Moors continued to be the leading power, and to no little extent in India also. They dominated the Mediterranean and the North Atlantic and plundered the coasts of Western Europe and the British Isles, and they conquered the rural parts of Scotland. David McRitchie, eminent British archaeologist, states, so late as the 10th century, three of the These provinces were wholly black in Scotland, and supreme ruler of them became, at the time, paramount kings of the Transmarine Scotland. Okay, so when you're looking at this book, which is Scottish history and Scottish nation, this is directly from J. Rogers, who discusses how Scotland, specifically the Highlands, were mostly dominated by so-called black men. Let's go through this book quickly. Let me show you some of the coat of arms. Okay, so here are some of the coat of arms of noble families. So right there you have Blackamoors. Okay, these are some of the British families. Okay, Yorkshire, Thomas More, Chancellor Henry IV, Yorkshire, and Fairbairns, Crest. Now, I want to go into some of these images. Some of them you kind of understand, some of them you may not. There's some esotericism connected to some of them, specifically with that one. Okay, so it kind of represents Janus facing the past and the present. Okay, so some of these kings and rulers were devout, into the dark arts. But you do see crowns, and these are European coats of arms. Okay, so there you go. So here we go. Also, Robert Knox in 1850 mentions a small colony of mulattoes living at Mint Moor, Scotland, the offspring of Negroes and white women. Of course, as you know, a lot of your ruling elite had concubines that were white women. That's why you hear white women say, "I want a tall, dark, and handsome," oftentimes. Okay, no cap. For all you guys that like to cap, that's a no cap. So let's keep on going. And here are some of the coat of arms. So remember we were talking about, I think it was Moray or yeah. So we were talking about Moray. Okay. So you have Moore right there. So you have Moore. You have Morel. And of course, here's something that most people don't know. A lot of your Italian that go by Moretti. Oh yes, they have a black ancestry for the most part. There's Moretti right there. Okay, maybe I should enlarge it. There you go. So you guys see Moretti. There you go. Moretti. More. Okay. Moreau. Alright, let's keep on going. So let's show you the different coat of arms. These are European, brothers. Negroes and coat of arms of notable families. Maureen, Moran, Morenberg, Morin, Moran, Moral. Okay. And then I saw a Schroeder down here, a Schroeder. And you guys know Schroeder from the NBA. I believe plays for the Atlanta Hawks, or I think Oklahoma City now. Dennis Schroeder. So his coat of arms, it's somewhere up in there if I can find it. Ooh, it'll be a hard while to find, but that's mostly German. Okay. And there's Moretti right there again. So Moretti. There you go. You see brother's name Moretti, especially your Italians. Moret, Mora, Moretti again. Okay. You see a black figurehead right up there, and of course you have a 5-pointed star. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3? Excuse me, 6-pointed star. And that means something. I don't want to go into that right now. All right. Moreau. Okay. And these are Italian, Spanish, and Polish families. Some of you brothers are like, "Oh, I love myself some Polish woman." Yeah, you should. quite a bit of them are shaped like so-called black women for a reason. Durum Panfrango. So these are your German families. And where is that doggone it? If I can find Schroeder's coat of arms, I will. Dennis Schroeder. But yeah, his family has some very, very, very prominent ancestry. And they look pretty much alike him. So that's what a ancient European ruling class would look like with Dennis Schroeder in Germany. Okay, and there's another German coat of arms right there. All right, I can explain all the things on it, but that would just take too long. So you have Stossel and Getter and Kirstein. These are there it is. Schroeder, right there. See the king's crown? There you go. Schroeder. Alright. Werder, Kirstein. I don't know what that one is at the bottom. Rupert. Yeah, I remember Rupert Murdoch. Not a good person to actually be bringing up right now. So, here we go. Poland has Mora with a Negro. France has many families with Moret, Morel, Morcride, Morat, Moreau. Remember that famous writer, Moreau? And many other derivatives of Moire, representative by Negroes, Noir. French families with branches of Anjou, Normandy, Brittany, and Beaune has a Negro. The family Negri, still used by the French for Negro, also has a Negro. Menger, listen, Justine de la Sorbière, married to Jean de Negre and Lady Marie d'Ablay. Francois de Pelot, lord of the Gordon, and one of the courtiers of Charles V, was a mulatto. Brampton says that he's handsome, although mulatto. Okay, the celebrated Chevalier de Saint George, Guadalupe Negro, was also called Moricat. Italian families with there you go, variations of More or Moretti, Morini, Morelli, with Negroes are many. The same is true with those variations of Negro and Negrima, Negroma, Negra, and Sacrum. So Sacrini, Saraceno with Negroes. The three Citrons, the black slave wife of Prince Tado, was called, what's that, Saracena? Ah, interesting. So, that is interesting. So let's see if there's some more coat of arms. I think there's a few more. Yes, there is. So there's Wolfgang. Remember Wolfgang Puck? And that is Queen Charlotte, the consort of George III, the grandmother of Queen Victoria, the portrait of Thomas Fry. There you go. See her? Okay, so this is what you were seeing in Scotland, what you were seeing in Germany, what you were seeing in Wales. Okay, so that's actually a bishop. All right, let's go back right there. So he was actually a bishop in the Catholic Church, Germany. All right. So again, don't take my word for anything. You can go and do your research and reading. So you have Moritz, and you guys, if you know what I talked about earlier with the Morris dance, which even some of the royalty would paint their faces black and dress up like the Moors. And actually, that was a very popular dance in England for the most part. Yeah. You know, just like black women are actually lighting their skin now, you had white people that were actually darkening their skin to resemble that of royalty and the elite. So, you know, it's just times. It's times, man. Times always mirror themselves. Ain't that right? So there's more coat of arms. And we're going more into the German. We're going away from Scotland. So, but yes, you guys see the numerous coat of arms of Europe, Central Europe, Portuguese, Scotland. And I'll try to find some more photos of coat of arms of Scotland for you guys. Okay, with the next drop. Okay, because you probably don't want to see Germany too much. But these are all black ruling families. Okay, just don't take my word. I'm not telling you anything that you can't look up in a book. Okay, and there you go. That's the end of this video. It's getting kind of long. I'm gonna have to cut this thing down, great brethren, and I hope you guys have a good day. I'm out. Peace.